Hello. I'm live. Oh, and I hear myself. Hold on one second. Greetings, greetings, happy new year. Welcome. My name is John Skippy Limcool. This is a live stream of all sorts of fun mayhem we're gonna be playing with. Welcome. I hope you all are doing well. Hope the Christmas was a good time for everybody. Get this straightened out. Is that straight? I hope New Year's was fun for everybody. So we have a lot of stuff planned for today. So I'm just playing with Airwave Volume 3. This is such a fun library to play with. I could just play this all day long. Oh, I need to turn off my notifications real quick. I always forget to do that. There we go. So what's happening? Happy New Year's to everybody. From Spain, from Canada. Everybody's saying Happy New Year. That's awesome. Happy New Year from, it's not rainy, kind of cloudy Portland, Oregon. So we're going to start off by talking about a really cool plugin by Shane Dunn. I've said his name wrong in the past, and I apologize, Shane. Forgive me. He's getting stuff done, not dune. But he has, for Omnisphere Airwave Volume 3 is our first library of MIDI using 4 continuous controllers. I'm working on a library I'm going to show you in a little bit of work of that's using 4 controllers because it is so dang fun to be able to have separate effects without it changing the filter, or change the filter without it changing the effects, or bring in groove elements, you know. Normally, if this was all on the mod wheel, it'd be this. Right? But now it's separated into 4 separate components. Right? And it's so much more flexible. But a lot of people don't have 4 controllers, or it's confusing. I've gotten an email from some people that don't know how to set up their keyboards, and my best suggestions is to read the owner's manual. Go to the website of the company that you bought that from. Most of them have video support. They should, if they're a good company. Novation does for sure. Akai does. Korg does. They all have video support showing you how to set things up. You just want to set up MIDI CCs. And you need to set up MIDI CC 1, 2, 4, and 67. Our buddy Shane, there's Shane now. Shane is a wonderful programmer from Canada, musician, engineer, smart gentleman. And he created first the Airwave version of the Show MIDI keyboard, which would show you all 4 controllers at once. But it didn't give you access to like rerouting or anything like that. Well, Shane took it a step further, and there is now a plugin called ModMate. And this is a wonderful plugin in that you can click and drag here to send controllers. So I can guys go back to 0, dude. When I let up, it goes back to 0. I think that's because that's where it's reading where these are currently at. If I'm like this, no, then I'll go back to 0. So anyway, there'll need to be a little small update to that. But this is a really cool plugin in that it not only lets you control them here, but it lets you also reroute them. So you have pitch bend up, pitch bend down, and modulation wheel. All keyboards have that. They have a mod wheel, they have pitch bend down and pitch bend up. And by clicking here, you're turning on. So right now, pitch bend up goes up. But as soon as I click any of these on this list, this column right here, if I say I want this to send everything, all 4 sets, 67, 4, 2, and 1, pitch bend up no longer does pitch bend up. It's now right? But you can also split it up. So I could say half of these I want to have on pitch bend down. So now pitch bend up. Lets me control those 2 things that way. Am I showing? I think I'm showing the view with the controller. Yeah. I've got this spiffy setup now where I can like have all this going segue between this to this to this. So I can change. I'm going to be getting more GoPros. I'll be able to have 4 GoPros in my room. So it's going to be really, really cool in the future what we're doing. So I'm really excited about that. Is LiveStream offline? No, this is live. You're live right now. Cornell Ward Music. Yeah. So this plugin is really handy in that if you don't have a hardware interface with 4 sliders, you can use your mod wheel by just clicking all these. And now my modulation wheel works like it does with other libraries where this does everything. We have an Airwave split it up so that things were shared on different controllers. Now the mod wheel. Let me do this. I'll give you guys the link to this. This is a MIDI effect. Your sequencer needs to support MIDI effects. Not that many do. I was trying to find a list of what DAWs currently support MIDI effects. I think more will support it in the future. Mod mate. So it's not doing that. Shame. Done. Mod mate. And let's see. Oh, wait. Let's just do this. Go like that. And he's on, oh, I gotta do it up here, I guess. GitHub, and then I go to 2018, and he actually has the raw source control. So if you wanted to, like edit it in its language, but I'm not going to get you that. This is the link. I think Ableton supports, guys, let me know. I'm working on that no snapback change now. See, that's what I love with working with programmers is it's like things are only streams now on YouTube. Right. Yeah. No, I'm no longer on LiveStream. I'm only on YouTube. I didn't pay the upgraded $2,500 to be on LiveStream again. I'm able to use software and do it without having to pay that money. So I am doing that. But so that's one. The other thing that's nice is it just shows you everything as you're modifying and controlling it. So and Shane, while we're here and you're here, the thing I would like is so you can double click here and let's say if I control this to be control 50, I think it does. Is that now? No, it's still looking at 67, but that should change to be CC 50 so that if somebody wants to send to 11 for expression or so forth, but you could rename these, I guess, is the idea right now. But it'd be cool if there's a way to double click here. And if you change this to be CC 11 or something, that would change to CC 11. And now this is sending out controller 11 or 7 or 10. If you're using general MIDI, there's all sorts of things for effects, stuff like that. So that's what I was talking about, the expanding it. So if we could do that, that'd be awesome. It's really cool what it does now. It's really handy. Hi, Jim. Good to see all of you guys. Welcome. Yes, has Cubase. Yes. I think Cubase does. I'm trying to think of other. Before this, we were using the built-in environment in Logic, which could show you the controllers. But this is so much nicer to have it as this really cool effect plugin, this MIDI plugin to work with. So I put the link into the chat. I'll put it here on the comments too, or my mod mate MIDI effect found here. How do you install this on the Mac? Okay, so what this is when you download it, you'll find that it's just a simple component. So it just goes into the components folder like all the other components. If you find mod mates right here. And so it goes into the components, and then the DAWs that can recognize MIDI effects like Logic. And I think Cubase, I think Ableton Live, I don't know. You guys need to tell me because I don't use those other DAWs at the moment. But then right here, you have this area that says MIDI effects, and it's above. And Logic comes with arpeggiator triggers and arpeggiators and all sorts of cool things that are really, really handy. But if you have some inside of your folder that are third party, like Shane's are, then they show up here. So you go Shane done and ModMate. There it is. And with that, you can now work with it. You just need to restart your sequencer. I think maybe you have to restart your sequencer because it does the audio unit check when you launch Logic or whatever sequencer you're using. And now, and let me explain, I'll show it to you this way. I'll show you in the context of this new library I'm working on. I have one patch that's really cool, and it really shows why this is really cool and why I want to support this in the future. So the new library is a work in progress. I'm not telling you the name yet. Let's see here. This is a box of chocolates, okay? So it's 4 patches, but you're only going to hear one. Slow down a little. So I have all this control. Isn't that cool? So I can have a tom accent, a bass, crazy effects. All from one patch in real time with no automation needed in my sequencer. So 4 controllers are here to stay for the libraries I create. Not all libraries I release by other people will be 4cc. Some libraries that are works in progress might not do that because of the amount of work it takes to set up and work with 4cc's. But it's so cool to be able to call up and have separate control over all these elements. So you can do all sorts of cool things when it's not all just one CC doing it. And so, yeah, I'll show you more of this library later on, but it's coming out so cool. I really love the direction it's going. But so that shows the reasons why I want to support this idea that, you know, Airwave's got me down the road of multis. His Airwave Volume 1 was the first library that came out that had these just absolutely sick, insane. I think the one that really got me because I was really into it at the time was the Sasha Digweed, Sasha and John, is it John Digweed? But this having all this go on in a multi. Before this, all my libraries were just patches. And the mod wheel up gives you a whole different groove, right? So this started us down. I'm so thrilled that he's a part of our team. So, you know, Airwave Volume 3, we've just taken things much, much farther as far as just the amount of programming you can do. And then he was like, you know, as a DJ, he's used to having EQ and volume and all these different controls when you're doing a DJ set. And when he does a live set with Ableton, he's got stems and all sorts of things to work with. So he wanted to take Omnisphere, which has all this control. It's very powerful. It has all these capabilities, and set it up to do this. And so, you know, I started playing with it and I was like, okay, you know. Having the ability to control these just makes them so much more flexible. I mean, you've got so much control, so much more than if it's all on one control. So ModMate helps set it up so that if I want, I could say modulation wheel is going to do modulation wheel. Let's also have it do effects, but now pitch bend up and pitch bend down, I'm going to assign those to the other two controllers. And now with just my simple, make sure I'm showing on here the, yeah. So right here I have, oh, you can't see it. Let me fix this. So you can see pitch bend up is changing CC4, pitch bend down. Oh, CC2 is here, CC4 is pitch bend down, and then mod wheel is doing these guys. So now I have the ability to go with all these different setups. Not even using anything sending to MIDI CC 2, 4, or 67, okay? So I hope this makes sense. It's a little tricky to go, oh my gosh, we have all these controls and stuff, and how to make a good workflow. Well, it's, you know, with this workflow, all it is it's going to record, all this is doing is rerouting it. So by doing this, if I sequence it, because I'm using MIDI CCs, I don't even need to worry about it's got it, right? So if I come back here and I hit play, it plays back the CCs because they're recorded in. So at this point, I don't even need ModMate. I could remove ModMate as a plugin. It'll still play it correctly because that's built in now. Oh, no, it's not. No, it needs the effect in there. Okay, that's good to know. So it is rerouting it the whole time. Interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure about that, but that just confirmed it. So, yeah, if that's the case, so mod wheel is going to do mod wheel and this, and here was pitch pin down, pitch pin up. So now it'll play back, I think. Let's go over here and say play. Yeah, it was stuck. So it will work, but you have to have ModMate in the whole time because it's rerouting the data that it sees in the recording. Interesting. I did not know that. Now I know. Okay. So workflow is just a matter of using and working with to get here. Workflows of a DJ and a film composer are very different. Yes. So many. Oh my gosh. Good. Jazz is talking about Greg Gondo has tutorials on controllers. Let's see. What is Jazz Rock? Your own MIDI controllers. I see it. Yeah. That's similar to the environment that's inside of Logic. They have a similar thing inside of Cubase. So with this, you'd be able to create something and set up, like where there's 4 sliders here that I have set up to where they take the inputs and they reroute it, which is basically what ModMate is doing, but not just, this is just to show it and just to facilitate it through. This is actually rerouting it, which is really handy. So yeah, film composers work in different ways, but you know, I have some Spitfire libraries and they have separate controllers for elements of the sounds, for expression and for the tightness of the strings, things like that. It's nice to have those ability to take the elements and separate them. So let me show you real quickly in a just real fast tutorial how you would set up multiple controllers. Say that you've got your setup now, you have 1, 2, 4, 67 working, right? Let's get an arpeggiator going. Let's use ARP from the 2019. The next library I release will be the first library that has all of these new grooves and trance and also there's going to be even more. There's going to be like twice its size as far as what's going to be going on. So I've loaded just an arpeggiator, turned it on, turn on the filter. And then now the key to programming, I'll explain this. I've talked about this a lot, but the key is to move something. Remember where you started so you can set it back, but listen to the change and do you want that change in your sound? That's really all it is. That's cool. Now, do I want that? If I'm only working with one controller, I would say modulate this with the wheel, right? And then I'd say modulate my filter with my wheel. And maybe I'd also want to like modulate a reverb with my wheel. So let's go over here to the common reverb, proverb. Start really soft with like, and right click and say modulate this with the wheel. So now my modulation wheel is changing 3 things. It's changing the sync, it's changing the filter cutoff, and the reverb. And all you have to do, you could do this to any patch, and it doesn't take that long, really. You could go over here, you right click, show modulation, wheel. Let's have that be breath controller, because that's CC number 2. Well, let's see, this is filters. So I want filter on the wheel. That's how I like to do it. I want harmonic oscillator changes on slider 2. So that would be something like the sync. So go to here and let's change that to be the breath controller. And I actually want to extend its range to go even higher. And then we go to the effects and right click and say show what's the wheel. And you just right click right here and say, no, I want this to be soft pedal, because soft pedal equals 67. And now I've split it up. Filter. Oh, wait. Oh, I have this set up. So let's reset this so that we have everything separated. So that mod wheel, filter, sync, and then reverb. Right? And then I want this third slider to bring in harmonia. I want it to bring in like a cool octave up, an octave down, and then maybe plus 19. Let's pan it. And actually, let's do this. Let's make it really big. So we want this to be like some big... Set the mix to 0, right click and say modulate this, and they have this really cool area you might not have noticed that says controller. This shows you all the available controllers that can change things that are standard MIDI CC controllers. Pitch bend isn't a MIDI CC, it's pitch bend by itself. But everything else here is a MIDI CC, and the user CC is definable right here on the main page. Where's it at? There's a place to define it. Maybe is it in the settings? This is something I've seen before. I've never tried to. Maybe it's, I don't know where that CC would be found. Where is it's somebody that's here is, or the orb? There's no MIDI CC here. This shows you layers and stuff, but it doesn't show MIDI CC. Where is that at? Somebody, can you move the piano cam closer to the bottom? Oh, move the piano cam. Oh, system. Let's see here. So move. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. So that would be this guy down here. And let's shrink that a little bit so that you can see what's going on, but I don't hinder Omnisphere. Is that better? Sorry about that. And then let's get this like, actually this will go right there nicely. Right? There. Is that better? Okay. So, yeah, if it's just sitting there not doing anything. And system, so utility, there's a reference guide. Show current assignments. I think this shows it. You can load the factory modulation mod effects in a Logic track. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure where you find system next to multi. Oh, okay. Thank you. So right here you have user CC. So you go like this, you move the MIDI CC that you want to use, and it will recognize it and pop it in there. So that becomes the CC that you could use in a patch. If we were here on the, say, the effects, and we wanted time to go from short to long, and we say modulate this with modulate with user CC. So I have set up this here now to be that. So now I have 5 MIDI CCs playing. So, oh, and we never did do harmonia. So right click here, modulate this with CC4, which is known as foot controller. So now, here's reverb and it's short. You have so much control that you can apply to a sound or to a multi, because the nice thing when you set your stack button on, all the patches that you assign are listening to the same controllers. That's how you can get some real-time, the things that we're doing in all the OMG libraries and percuss and stuff, where the mod wheel is just changing so many things and so many patches, is because of stack mode. So because of splitting this out to multiple controllers, it just means you have even more control of elements in the set patch instead of just being one thing that changes everything. It's kind of like, you know, someone's speaking 4 languages at the same time. Well, if you have them on 4 sliders, you can turn down and just hear one language at a time that you want to hear, right? So it just gives it so much more flexibility. So it's really nice to have that option. And yeah, it's not that hard to set up. So what is the hardware controller? This is from Machine, the Native Instruments Machine Jam. It's wonderful. It's got pads that can play notes, and it's got 8 sliders. Let me get to make sure that I can go like this, and I can make this a little bit bigger, like this. So if I turn this a little bit, so this is Jam. It has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, which are 8 different sets of everything. So if you use Spitfire and they work with a certain set of controllers, then you use A for that page to set everything up. And B can be a completely different setup for Logic or for, well, for Omnisphere, for controlling the sounds here, so that you get the controllers to work the way that you want. The faders, if you run their controller software, they've got all sorts of capabilities to set them up. If we go controller editor is what it's called. And this will look and see what is connected that it recognizes, and it will pop it up. And you can double click each one of these. You can choose what color you want this to be when it changes, as you can see as it moves. And then I had it set to control change to 1. If you're using software for other, let's bring this down a little bit so I can talk to you guys. There. So if you're using software like this from Novation or other companies, they will have an editor similar to this that shows their keyboard and shows the buttons. And you just double click that button or something, and something will pop up somewhere that says what it is currently doing. And you can say, oh, I want its position to touch is like aftertouch. Position, you have all these choices to choose. Oh, I'm not showing the software at the same time, so let's go webcam. There. So here we go. So this is the software. You double click, and right here pops up where you can choose what type of MIDI CC, pitch bend, channel pressure, all sorts of things beyond CCs can be assigned to any of these buttons and sliders and knobs all throughout the interface. It's really nice. When you move it, it shows it becomes active in the software. But Novation, Akai, all of them do similar things. The thing I like with this, Airwave started this. He did videos that he did showing his patches, and I saw how easy it was to control these sounds, to be able to, I had things with knobs, and knobs are nice for certain things, but if you're trying to change 4 things at once, it's really hard. And when you're over here with some of these, let's see here, like, go like that, and go like this. You know, you could change. You can do real fast. Trying to do that with 4 knobs while playing notes. I can't do that with knobs. I tried. So it was like, okay, I need something with faders. Now Korg makes like a $69 Nano control that has faders. Faders are the best thing for this kind of remixy DJ kind of thing. I would think it's also good for composers, for volume, for being able to do things subtly, to have things change over time. Film composers, the same thing. You want to have access to those things and be able to gradually bring them up and down. The other way, if you have knobs and you're sequencing, it's really easy to just sequence one knob and go back, sequence the other knob doing the same similar moves, or just copy the data and reassign it to a different MIDI CC in your sequencer. That's another really cool option for those of you that don't have hardware. I'm not going to show you, but you can reassign MIDI CC pretty easily in your sequencer to be, duplicated on another track and then reassign it to 1, 4, 67, whatever you want it to be. There's all sorts of ways to work around with multiple controllers. Might be a this is a Korg M3 below it. And I'm going to actually, I can't talk too much about it because it's for voicing. I used it for voicing other synthesizers. So it's actually an M3 that's not an M3 is all I'm going to say about that at the moment. I have both nano controls, original with 9 faders and version 2 with 8 faders. Oh, well, if you can find one on eBay, that's a good place to find. Oh, Gig Performer. Cool. No, it's anything that works with MIDI effects, please share. It's an M3. Yeah, but like I said, it's not an M3 right now. I actually have the software to return it into an M3 because it was not that for a while. So that's ModMate from Shane Dunn. The links are in the comments and all this kind of stuff. So hopefully that helps you guys with getting that to work. Is a legacy device. I don't think they make it anymore. You can buy them used, but yeah, it's not in their current lineup. I've made and worked on Korg synthesizers since '88, so I have a lot of old instruments hanging around here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is drum loops. The other library that we released from Airwave, which blew a lot of people away, I can't believe the comments a lot of people sent to me, is this library. And that's just patches. There is some multis as well, but those will cause my my computer can't play them because it's using granular, which is a very heavy, CPU heavy son of a gun. But there's all these drum loops that Airwave made. And if you turn off the ARP and you go and you turn off granular, let's see here, and I need to, right? Oh, the start off is, oh, it's LFO. So let's reset that, modulate that. Okay. So he has all these drum loops inside of here. And if you go to the library, you can actually go sharing loops. They're there. And the goal is to get these to play. I think they're all 120. Let me see if I turn on. 120 beats per minute. So if you're just writing at 120 beats per minute, you can use them just as loops on middle C, as long as you have no detuning here or here. What you have to do, you have to right click and unmodulate the start, and you have to right click and unmodulate, just turn off granular and turn off the arpeggiator. Okay, those are the three things that are used to get this to work. So what you do, if you want to get your own loops into this, I have some drum loops that I have prepared. ModMate, cool. Wow. So Shane is updating stuff as we speak. So where did I put the drum loops for the live stream? So here they are. I made some drum loop. Well, I didn't make, but I found from the extensive plugin guru library. There's actually a couple that are, let's see, let's do this. Let's load these over here so I can play them. Let's say create new tracks. So these are drum loops. I'll show them here first to show what you need to do to prep them. Tempo is not that important. Let's see, let's delete the movie or remove the movie. Let's see here. Remove the movie, remove the audio. We're not using this. So down here are the drum loops that I loaded up. Let's get them all to start on measure 2 to be simple. Solo. Okay, that's junior. I also loaded, like, here's 117 writing. So the keys are this. You want it to be a 1 measure, 2 measure, 4 measures long, whatever you set it to. Make sure that you go through and you clean it up so that it's perfectly looping. If I load this up as, if I go over here and I say audio editor, and I have loop turned on, it should play. That's what you want, perfect loops, right? Okay, so you can do that in your sample editor or in your editor in your DAW. Save it as a WAV file. Then once they are prepared, if you're gonna do multiples, it's best to maybe make like what I did. I made a folder named Drum Loop Livestream that I put them into. And then you open up Omnisphere. You are on, let's say, initialize. And you go down here, you hit sample, and you hit the little folder, and this takes you to the sample list where you can see all the samples. And then if it's not selected, you can just say user audio, and then you drag this folder here and let up. If you have a lot of libraries, this will take a long time. The fewer libraries you have, the faster it loads. If you know how to do data management, I have made a separate folder in Steam because there's so many libraries. If you've owned some of my libraries, I have a separate folder in the Omnisphere folder called Guru Work in Progress Out, but you could name it whatever you want. And then I have patch out, multi out, sound source out. You want to keep track of these because here you can now go to the patches and to the multis and to the sound sources, and you open up the user folder. And if I don't need certain sound sources, I will take and I'll select the ones that I don't need, and I'll come up here to the sound source out folder, and I'll put them here. And then they go into the folder with the other 37. If I was to try to import 5 drum loops with all of these folders and all of those samples, it would take a very long time. I'm going to undo that to put them back. So that's the one where it will take the most amount of time. Although when you're refreshing your patches on this page, if you have a lot of libraries, this refresh takes a long time if you have a lot of libraries. So it's good to have some sort of data management. There isn't a way to turn them off and on inside of the actual plugin. So what I did is I made a folder where I move things manually all the time, depending on what I need to show, what I need to work on. If I want to work fast, I'll empty out a whole bunch of the libraries into there. You just got to be careful to make sure you keep they have the same name. So make sure you're really careful with this. This is not something you want to do without going just carefully through the steps of saying, okay, yes. If you open up a sound source folder that's got samples, it's folders with the names of samples. Then inside are the database files. We have to copy and paste all 4 graphics into every single sample in every single library so that they show up inside of Omnisphere. That's all there. You just want to be very careful about moving them. By doing that, you'll make it so you can load things faster than if you have tons of libraries in your folder. But again, do this only if you're experienced, and if you own Plugin Guru libraries, they're on the web so you can re-download them. You're not going to destroy stuff. You'll just lose data if you do it wrong. It shouldn't destroy anything. I've done this for years with what I'm doing, so it does work. I create a folder pad. Yeah. Oh, you've been chatting with yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when you get larger libraries, it just all of a sudden it has to go through and read. What happens is this: if you have 10,000 samples, it rewrites all 10,000 samples, the database file, before it adds the new sample. And then it rewrites that database file all over again before it adds the next sample. So as you have lots of samples, it takes a long time. So I've initialized this. I've done that. So if you go down here, you'll see, go to user, drum loop live stream. Oh, come on. What did I, oh, you know what? I think I've messed this up because I'm over here. So there, let me get mod made. Actually, we're going to change this back to this so you can see the notes played as well. Uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, that's show MIDI CC. I want to get to Shane Dunn, show MIDI AW. There we go. Let me make sure I have to remember now to make sure I have everything set up. So now I have these loops as looped audio files. They're not looped, actually, they're just drum loops, right? These 3 are from Big Bad Beats. And no matter what my tempo is, it doesn't make a difference. It's not going to change anything at this point. Right? So these are all different tempos. I'm going to show how this works no matter what your tempo is. These are all 2 measures long. Oh, it's got the loop. Cool. That's just part of the file. Let's see, does this loop? Yep. Okay, so if you want this to work under any tempo, you use the Airwave library to load up one of these. If you own a Future library, or if you want, I can show you what the granular preset is. This is the Super Looper preset. So you'd set up these settings for the granular to work. And what this basically does, let's see, if we turn off the ARP, if we go to the LFO and turn it off. Oh, and then we have our sustain up. It allows us to go through the sample. This is what granular synthesis is fun for, is pitch grains and spread and do all sorts of weird stuff, right? But we're having this be a really focused. And as you move this, so basically now at this point you go and you bring in your LFO. Right? And then to make it so that it plays in time, because it's not playing in time yet. Well, it's playing in time, but it still drifts, I've found. If I go like this, and let's see if I go mute these guys. it'll drift. So what Airwave found was that by assigning an LFO of this shape, not the you don't want it to be this is what I love is forgetting parameter names. If we go assign this to an LFO, bipolar, that's the name. It's so funny. Yeah, so bipolar. So you don't want a bipolar LFO, but just a single pole, which means that it's going to start and go up. It doesn't go into negative values. Okay, so it's doing this, and it's doing it also to the sample start, you'll notice. And then you turn on the arpeggiator, and this is where you get it to be sample accurate timing wise. Is it set to play 16th notes? And you hear it now clicking because it's making sure it's triggering right on the downbeat and every 16th time note interval. And then it's a matter of finding the right decay setting and the right length setting to get to the timing that you want. And now with this, I could go over here to the live stream loops and three, four. And if I slow down my tempo, now because I slow down my tempo, I want to change my settings here. To get it to be the most optimal that I can get it to be for this. Whatever I choose. Also the settings on granular for intensity. Changed it considerably. And you can have fun, add spread. If you want to trick it out, but the trick is to use an LFO of this pulse shape, sync, legato, single polarity, not normally by default it's like this, so you want to click the little X. That means it's only positive. And then since it's two measures, it's two measures. If I set this to be 1, plays it in double time. If I say 4, it spreads it out to be okay. You also want to right click and assign this to be modulated with LFO1. So you can say all mod sources LFO1. And that way it also, if you watch this, oh, it's inverted. I think you'd want it positive. Interesting. Same effect. Okay. But the key is that this is what's moving this slider through the loop. And it's moving it in a calculated, perfectly linear way. And that's what gives you the sync. But it fades out a little bit with the loop if it's because of the tempo of the drum loop. So setting up the arpeggiator to trigger on 16th notes. The easiest way to do this is if you own the Airwave Volume 3 library, you don't have to set any of this up. You just call up this, right? Then go over here, go to your folder of drum loops, and they work. So if you own Airwave Volume 3 loops, this is all set up for you with programming, right? I can go to any of the loops that I have loaded in. It could be a whole folder with hundreds of loops. I could go to 2. I could load up another airwave loop. Let's turn on stack. The airwave loop is working with the loop I imported. Or I could go here, I could say, go over here to, gotta say, show sharing. It's there, you just can't hear it as well. If I go to the mix, it's there. Just find the right mix. But that's how you can get drum loops synchronized in sync using the granular engine inside of Omnisphere. So yeah, I know. You also have the option if you want. I don't find it to sound anywhere nearly as good. If you go to 1, you can go to granular and you can say legacy. Oh, maybe for this it's okay. That sounds pretty good. That's the original. Yeah. Okay, that works. If we're playing loops back, for certain granular things, it's definitely an improvement what they've done with the new granular engine, but Legacy uses fewer voices. As you can see, it's much more intense when you say intensity full than Legacy. And so there's certain times in certain cases where, but Legacy, even with the intensity down low, is fine because it's just having to go through the... You want to use smoothing, for sure. And then Spread does stereo imaging stuff. Detuning, pitch grains, and interval are all elements that give you variations in pitch. And then gliding would be whether it's fast or not. Wild is also fun for... You get some more interesting things happening if you want a more bigger, you know, effect. Let's see here. So yeah. Oh, yeah. If you do use the Shane Dunn's effects, because they are MIDI effects, you have to log out, log in, or restart your computer. Like you can go up to your system and you go to log out right here and then log back in. It needs to be re-registered to you apparently for it to work. Okay. So any questions to how that works? It's fun to have them as, you know, there's so many places to play loops. This isn't there's fun things inside of Omnisphere you now have access to is the main reason to do this. If you want, I could take this and now I could take this audio and I could go into the creative effects like inner space. Which you can't do anywhere else. Or thrift shot. Which is just great for getting all this kind of stuff. And go to creative and add a quad resonator. And you can turn your drum loops into all sorts of chords. All sorts of fun things. There was an early version where the pitches, oh, you can modulate. Oh, Sweet, you can do that now. I didn't know you could do this. It's so fun. You can modulate these pitches. Random. Sync. Legato to eighth notes. All sorts of fun stuff. So this, from a drum loop, just one of the reasons why you would want to have drum loops inside of Omnisphere. There's this whole arsenal of effects that are really nice to use in combination with each other that are available right here. There's also all these effects to take. Let's turn this off. You have a ring modulator. Which is always fun to modulate. Stuff like that, right? FM with the boost. So you can mangle the sounds in really cool ways. So to take, you know, we all have huge folders of drum loops that we've gotten from free CDs. You go to the store and you buy a music CD and it comes with 5 gigabytes of, you know, loops. Here's a place you can play with those in some cool ways. Just edit them at first so they're 2 measures, 4 measures, or 1 measure long. The length of this will determine based on the length of the loop, unless you want to double time it or a half time it. Right? Okay. Any questions with what we're doing? I want to just make sure that you guys understand and grasp some of this. It's fun. It's kind of deep to get into these areas of Omnisphere, using Omnisphere in ways that it's not necessarily designed, but the tools are there. It's all there to work with. So the last thing I wanted to do, oh, there's 2. There's a company I want to share right here. Let me see here. I think, yeah, they're called Melda Production. These guys have a synthesizer. I haven't bought it yet. They have all these bundles and stuff going on. They have a ton of different effects. The one instrument that's really interesting is this Power synth, which, oh, it's special price drop on it. It's an incredible synthesizer. In that, let me show it to you real quick. And what you do is this. By trying this out, you will end up with a massive number of free effects if you want them. Let's see, Melda Power synth. Okay, I haven't bought this yet, but I will go buy it because at that price, it's worth having. But so it has an interface. It's a little challenging. You have 3 oscillators, noise, filter, and effects. The effects is a modular monster. You can actually create a massive matrix and then turn this into a single one of these files that you would then reroute audio through multiple things that are multiple chains of effects. It's just, it's crazy. all sorts of capabilities. The sound is really good as far as just the personality of it. What did I do? But what happens is their installer, let's see if I still have that available here. So I can show you. Open downloads. Let's see here. Do I have Melda's installer? No, I don't think I do. But when you go to their try and you say all you do is you say try download, you get to where you have this universal installer. And by downloading that, it downloads something which has installers for all their libraries if you want to try them out. And so you can download the installer for the Power Synth. But all through the list, you'll see all of these. Check this out. I'm going to pop this over here. You have some, and some of them are really handy. If you go to Melda Productions, these are all free effects. The comb is really cool. I think it's actually ability to be multiple combs. Put it on drum loops, all sorts of things. It's really cool. There's so many things here. There's compressors, equalizers, frequency shifters. So step sequencers. There's presets. There's other things that are cool in the, oh, we've got the comb still on, so turn that off. You also have some really handy things, some oscilloscope type of things for seeing tuners, utility. There's a notepad, so you can leave notes in a song. A lot of sequencers have that built in now, but at one point it didn't. Bit fun for bit resolution, analyzer to look at the mix. So there's like, I think 30 effects that are free. It says it's free down here, and there's a little red label and stuff like that, but they still work as free. The only thing that's making the pop noise is the Power Synth, since that's the demo that I haven't installed yet. But I wanted to let you know about that. If you guys want some really decent quality free effects to work with, that's the Sawtooth and Omnisphere. And if you were to like look at Repro, for example, for giving yourself a different, let's go. That's Yuhi. Different characteristics, and you can see it in action, so it's cool for analyzing and comparing if you're trying to do things like that. Really nice. So let's get back. Let's see, turn this to no plugin. So I wanted to share that as a bonus. And then finally, let me show you a few more patches from this. I'm not sharing the name of the library yet, but I love where it's going. This will be patch only. I think I might include some. I have something else I can show you too. So if we go here to the new library work in progress, there's a lot of cool things like big. I'm kind of going for a retro-y kind of vibe. there's stuff like this. There's a whole bunch of leads. I'm doing a lot of fun stuff where I'm finding things that I can stuff like that. Some really cool, you know. Cool things like so stuff like that. A whole bunch of fun things to play with. So that's in the works. Another one that's in the works, I'll show you real quickly, is Retrosphere Volume 2. The sample development phase is over. I'm going to start working on patches. I think I'm going to release a small little bank for you guys to play with. The way that this has worked out, let's see if we go, I think it's, yeah. So this has both the, so there's three initials. There's going to be a fourth one. I have a Waldorf Blofeld that will be here shortly that I'm going to sample and include some of in this as well. It's not so retro, but it's pretty cool. The P stands for Pulse, which is my Waldorf Pulse. So all the P stuff. And you'll see there's a higher sample, which here's the higher sample is for the, and the Waldorf is mono. So it's cool to have these big sounds. Okay. The Q is the Waldorf Micro Q, which I own. So and some of these I included more samples, so all sorts of fun things to. And then K is Kurt. And he's the gentleman that sent me his little personal library of all these different synthesizers that kind of started this process. So I have all these samples now to start working with and building patches. So it's going to be killer when it's all done. Just huge sounds. The Pulse is just such a massively... crazy. And this means means it's sampled on B flat 5, which is way up here, right? But they're cooled down low. If you play the E2, whole different thing. The sweet strings are nice. Now, I sample these a lot of times like this, where it's got the, because I'm going to plan to make it right, but it's still able to be doing double duty as a synth. So a lot of things that are made for sweet things like strings, they don't necessarily sound like that on the raw sample level. So you have, but we will be making retro like crazy. Right? So that's in the works. That'll come out later this year. So that's gonna take my time with that one. I want to really soak it all in. Let's see, what are you guys talking about? You're getting tired of retro? Well, I'll make new sounds using these samples. Retro just means it's a synthesizer that's no longer in production to me. I mean, yeah, I'll make some sounds that are like Stranger Things and so forth, but I'm also going to make stuff that you could be using in the next Chainsmoker single and stuff like that. So retro just means Mega Magic bass. Maybe someday. That, you know, we'll see. Yeah, but that's where I'm from. See, I work with a whole bunch of generations. You got to realize I've got customers that are into, you know, seeing Michelle Jean Jarre for their first concert, whereas there's other people that, you know, are just, you know. By the way, the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is an incredible film. Saw it last night. Mind was blown. Unbelievably creative, fast. The soundtrack is great. Oh man, it was so good. So if you haven't seen that and you love anime, you love adventure, I mean, it's a great story done with animation. It reminded me of when I was in high school and I went and saw Heavy Metal. I don't know if some of you guys remember, that was a animated rock and roll. Is R-rated. I think I was underage when I went and saw it, but yeah, it's kind of that kind of the thing. I saw it late at night last night, and it was so good. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it. Yeah, I'm 55, and for New Year's I went and saw what's their names? Cornell and Dresden. What's incredible show. I mean, raving like crazy, dancing until 3 in the morning. It was really fun. Oh, Gabriel and Dresden. That's what it is. Yeah, Gabriel and Dresden did New Year's here in Portland, and so that's what I went. I was going to go to an 80s New Year's, and then the last minute, my girlfriend and I were talking like, you know, let's go dance. Let's go like new dance. And so we saw Paul Oakenfold a year ago Halloween at this place, and they had a really fun New Year's Eve party. So we went, and it was crazy, and it was so inspiring. The only thing about live shows is I have to wear earplugs, and so it's so loud it just shakes your body, you know. But yeah, no, I love as much of all the dance stuff and Drake and all those guys. The stuff going on there, a lot of it inspires me, just like retro stuff. So I like to find little bits and pieces of everything to work with, because it's all about inspiration and taking sounds that were designed for something of a different era and using them in new music is a fun, hip thing to do. It's very cool. So yeah. So anyway, since I'm an older guy, I guess I'm going to appeal more to the older guy market, but we're young at heart. And so that's where I'm at. So anyway, My years of playing live concerts. Yeah. Yeah. Keep earplugs in your ears is all I can say, no matter what age you are, because things are loud. Anyway, so I'm going to split. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. I don't know if I'm going to do one every week. Only to sax attacks. Maybe we could do a library dedicated only to sax attacks. No. I'll let someone else carry that mantle. That's an interesting one to think about. But yeah, saxophone attacks aren't really my thing. Sorry. Any questions? Any questions before we do our final goodbyes? What MIDI board is that? This is, I'm using a machine jam to control my DAW. And we were looking at, there's some people probably popping in a little late. So let me just cover real quickly the start of the live stream. We were covering using this new MIDI effect plugin from Shane Dunn. If you want to get this, there's a description and a link in the comment section that I provide, so you can see it there. What's cool with this is it lets you reroute these 4 CCs, CC1, CC2, CC4, 67. These should be like this. It should be CC1. Oh, hey, can you fix that? So if you, let's see. It should show more than that. If I go mod, it'd be nice if I could say CC1 / and then have mod wheel show up below it or something. Because the confusing thing to a lot of people is that I know CC2 is breath controller because I've been around MIDI for my whole freaking life. But a lot of people don't know that. And when you go to assign a modulation source, and you go to this list, it's names, it's not numbers. So you have to learn that wheel is CC1, breath controller is CC2, foot controller is CC4, and then soft pedal is CC67. They don't say that in Omnisphere. Some things it only says the number. In Omnisphere, it says only the name of what it is in the MIDI CC list. If you got there's 127 different MIDI CCs, and they were for, back in the day, you can actually, there's a CC for filter, there's one for resonance, there's envelope controls, there's effect controls. So when people had the little Roland sound canvas, you could send a little packet of MIDI CC information at the beginning. It would load a patch and modify the patch to be different than what it was when you call it up to match what it needed to be for the song. So that MIDI CC specification still exists. And we're kind of using that in a different way. We're not doing this to like take journal MIDI, but we're taking it to take sounds and modify them. And what's fun with this is, you know, we have these really cool multis and patches that use 4 MIDI controllers now. In all the other libraries before Airwave Volume 3, MIDI CC1, the mod wheel is the one that we focus on for Omnisphere. This is the first library where we have 4 controllers, where there's the mod wheel, this is a whole different one. This is pitch bend. So you have control. So much more control than if it's all on one controller. But a lot of people don't have hardware like this to dedicate. So this little MIDI effect will let you route all of these, if you want, to the mod wheel. So now I move my mod wheel and it moves them all. Or I could actually take over pitch bend that normally does pitch. Right? If you turn these on, it turns off pitch bend. So I could say these last two go to pitch bend up, and this one goes to pitch bend down, and turn those off from here. And the mod wheel is just going to do mod wheel automatically. It doesn't need to be pitch bend up, pitch bend down. Okay. So that way you could sequence that into your sequencer using just your mod wheel and your pitch bend without any other hardware set to any other MIDI CCs. But you need to use something that has the ability to load MIDI effects. And there's not enough programs yet that do that, but they're coming. Let's hope. But Logic does. I don't know. What other programs have people found? What other programs use MIDI effects? That's one thing I want to figure out so I can make sure that I'm talking the right thing to people, you know? But anyway, let's wrap up. I thank you all for joining. This has been fun. Reaper works fine for MIDI effects. That's good to know. I think they work both on PC and Mac. Studio One and Cubase. Okay, great. So, yeah, thank you, Shane, for creating this very useful ModMate. Let's do our shout outs from wherever you are in the world for this first live stream of 2019. And then we'll sign off. But I do a big shout out from Portland. Let's see here. From Camus. Awesome. Where's everybody at? Do your shout outs. Let us hear where you are in the world. The Bronx, right on, Michael. Omni mode on. Shout out from Copenhagen. Canada. Thank you again, Shane. Germany, Spain, Holland. Worldwide. It's awesome. You guys are everywhere. So thank you for watching and for joining us. And London, Georgia, the Grand Cayman. Oh, lovely, John. Yeah, Thailand for Coxa. It's good to see you, Adam. Yeah. San Francisco, California. By the way, I'll be at the NAMM show in a couple weeks. If you guys are just typed into the 71-year-old. Yeah, you know, age is just a number. Phooey. My dad, he's what, 70, almost 79? And he's just installing sound systems in schools and churches and colleges and courts and the Idaho Senate House and all sorts of places. I mean, you know, it's inspiring to me to see this type of stuff going and go, hey, you know. Oh, you bought a ticket for Super Booth. Yeah, I'm looking at coming to Super Booth. I'm also going to be in Germany, it looks like in March, for a little... I've never been invited. There's a company inviting me and flying me to Germany for kind of a YouTube sponsored kind of promotion thing. So that should be fun. And I'd like to come to Super Booth as well in May. And we'll be at the NAMM show running around like crazy. So if you're at the NAMM show, send me a note. I'll get you my phone number so we can hopefully meet in person. That'd be really cool to say hi to everybody. Hope this has helped a lot of you. Some of you have sent me a lot of questions about controllers and setting them up. So hopefully this gives you guys some directions to go to find support. You need to find videos that show you how to set things up or read in the owner's manual about the controllers and how to set up the controllers for what you want it to do. There's software that will let you do all that kind of stuff. Oh, you're welcome, Michael. My pleasure. Hopefully this helped everybody out in some fun, cool new ways. What's a good MIDI board for a piano player? You know, weighted actions are probably what you're looking for if you want a really piano playing action. What happened to my beard? Yeah. So it was much longer. I was going to go for that, and it just started to look scruffy and old man-y. So I cut off my beard, and I got both ears pierced. So I'm going a different direction. So it's a whole different thing going on. But You know, my buddy Jordan Rudis has the super cool wizard beard, and so I thought, well, maybe I could grow it long and be like, you know, a little mini wizard, but it just went the wrong way. So no, it's like, no, don't do that. That's not my thing. So that's what happened. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year. Yeah. Yes, I know. Yeah. I see. The thing is this, like growing up until like 50, I couldn't grow any facial hair. And all of a sudden I'm able to grow facial hair. So I've been just kind of experimenting with what's possible. But Happy New Year to you all. Lots of cool stuff. There's so much coming up this year. I can't say a whole lot, but when it's time for you to know stuff, there's some really, really exciting things going on. Thank you again for joining, and I will see you all later. Be well. Peace out.